And go.
Hello, everybody. Good morning for everybody who's in this hemisphere of the United States. Yesterday, I was sitting outside our property, our house, looking at the lake and just contemplating all of the amazing things that are happening. And my mom came clearly to my mind. My mom has been in the process of ascension now, really significantly for the last 3 weeks. And so I walked inside, I got up and I went to her. It was like I was being called to her. Well, I'm glad I answered the call because I walked in and I could see my mom's breathing had changed. So I walked in and I grabbed her hand. She hasn't been speaking for a couple of days. And I grabbed her hand, and within about 5 minutes, she took her last breath in the body. And now she's breathing as the universe. She's breathing with God. Now, I grew up in Minnesota, so that's the word I use. If you grew up on the other side of the world, you might use Krishna or Shiva or Allah or Buddha or any number of different cultural words to point to the creator. And it was a profound experience. In fact, we have some people visiting from Costa Rica, family members, my mother-in-law and my aunt from Costa Rica. And I called them in the room and they started praying. And after a couple minutes of them both saying different prayers, while I sat in silence, I invited them to let go of the words and feel. My friends, the gateway to the next level for all of us is through the feelings, not through the words. Words can point us in the right direction, but it's the feelings that once we incorporate and allow the energy, the emotion, the energy to be in motion, once we allow, and it takes some courage to do this, once we allow those feelings to flow, we release the traumas of our history. And I believe that some of these traumas are passed down from generation to generation. They are seated in our DNA. They're seated in our cultures, right? In fact, let's talk about the word culture. What is a cult? Well, I looked up the definitions of cult and they seemed a little different from my understanding of the word. And you tell me, a cult, from what I learned growing up, is a place or a group of people that's led by somebody who's typically a little bit crazy or completely nuts, right? So a culture, the act of becoming a culture. Now, there's a half truth to everything, pretty much. And I love visiting. I've lived in and visited 47 countries. I've lived with the Maasai. I've lived in the jungles of Chiang Mai. I've ridden elephants and rode bamboo rafts down the rivers. I've lived in Dar es Salaam and Karachi, Pakistan, and Australia. and Costa Rica for 12 years. So I love the definition of culture that points to the uniqueness, the diversity, the food, the music, the dance, the art. I love those things about these different regions and communities, right? But it's also good to be aware that through this definition, this idea of culture, well, there are people among us who are living in such trauma that they live in an energy of lack. Sometimes it's pride or envy, greed, gluttony, lust, wrath, pride, sloth. It's the seven deadly sins, right? A sin is there's four definitions of sin from a biblical perspective. And I just learned this a couple years ago, but I knew the one for maybe 10 or 15 years. The word sin means to error or miss the mark, right? So if you're shooting a bow and arrow back 2,000 years ago and you missed the mark, you sinned, right? Should you be killed or castrated or have your finger cut off for that? Probably not, right? So I've been very contemplative about these different cultural aspects. I started learning neurolinguistics back when I was about 30 years old. And before that, I was studying the great teachers like Napoleon Hill and Dennis Waitley and Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and anyone I could find that I thought could teach me something. And after a lifetime of pursuit, decades of pursuit of what I learned as enlightenment, well, my friends, I'm here to share with you that everybody can be inspired. Everybody can be enlightened. Now, we've been deceived. We've been deceived to believe that we can't be enlightened, that that's only for one person per religion. And I'm not talking about turning water into wine. I don't know how to do that. I'm not talking about, catching a whole bunch of fish, which I'm pretty good at, but not the way Jesus did it. I'm not talking about putting my hands on somebody and all of a sudden they get up and walk. No, I'm talking about simply this: a mind free of scarcity, of pain, of fear, a mind free of govern mente. Govern is to manage, control, or steer, and mente is mind. Govern mente is the root cause of most of the suffering of our world. Not the individuals that we know that work for the school system or the policy force, or I'm not talking about these folks. I'm talking about somehow at the head of this system of enslavement, of mind control, there sits a form of, well, what is live backwards? Right? I want to take some of the energy out of these words. Live backwards is evil, right? I'm not talking about a guy with horns. I'm not talking about these, what I believe are mythical metaphor for something that causes trauma and pain and suffering and disconnection. I'm talking about simply things that lead to fear and scarcity and dis-ease. When we become aware that we are part of the divine, that we are the messengers, Do you know what Messiah means? It means messenger. You and I are messengers. We are messengers of hope. That's why you're brave hearts. Dr. Wolf is a brave heart, and you are as well. The amount of ridicule and violence that Dr. Wolf has experienced, and I've been witness to it, has been extreme because he's willing to put himself out there. When you get to a certain point of awareness of who we are, there's no other way. We put ourselves out there because, my friends, faith and courage is the armor of God. Now, what does that mean? I've been sitting on this one for a couple of years since I first really internalized that concept. Well, I'd like to simplify things to a way that helps me understand and feel them and experience them, right? Tesla, you've heard of Nikola Tesla. He said, or at least the history says he said, and I believe this one, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, God, then think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. What does that mean? Well, there's one word misplaced in that concept, that statement, and that's the word think. No. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, of God, take a deep breath and feel the energy, the frequency, and the vibration. When I shared this with my aunt and my mother-in-law yesterday, right after my mom's passing, I was already doing it. I was breathing and holding my hands up and just relaxing, noticing all the tightness in my body, and my stomach was a little tight, my throat was a little tight. I took a deep breath, and I invite you to do this now. Feel the energy, the frequency, the vibration of the universe, of nature, of God. Feel it. Do you feel your hands tingling? Do you feel your feet vibrating? Do you sense? Do you hear? Are you aware of the frequency of the universe, of God? That base frequency, energy, vibration is the divine. It is the wellspring of everything, of all life, of all creation. Napoleon Hill was commissioned by, I believe it was Rockefeller, to study the most successful minds, the most incredible manifestors in history. And after decades of study, Napoleon Hill deducted that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Please contemplate that for a second. Whatever my mind, whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Some people flippantly say, I believe I can fly. No, you don't. No. Now, I'm not saying that's impossible. I can't believe it, or I don't believe it. Maybe in the future I will. Right now, I don't believe it. Conceive and believe. My friends, here's what I have conceived, and I know it's past belief system. Belief system is really another form of BS, but we can use this BS. So I'm going to show you what we can achieve. So I'm living in a food forest. My friends, the Garden of Eden. You've all heard of the place, whether it's metaphor or real. I don't know for certain, but I know that that is our destination. The Garden of Eden, a place of epic, infinite, exponential abundance, is our destiny. 2 years ago, there was nothing here but sand. Look at the chicken eggs. This is our compost pile. The whole thing is a compost pile. And now, 2 years later, look at this. This area was only planted about a year ago. Look at that area over there. 2 years ago, there was nothing here. Now, there are 240 different species of edible and medicinal plants. Look at this Seminole pumpkin, right? I'll probably harvest that one today. There's another one. It grew so fast that it exploded. Another one over there. Bananas are coming in. The loquat or Nispero, the ice cream bean. All of this. Hey, crow. Do you want to live with faith and courage? Do you want to live free? Do you want to be healthy and vibrant? So here's the kicker. Everything we know or we've been taught in our colleges and universities about farming, it's all part of the great deception. It's all part of the great lie. The truth will set you free, my friends. The truth is that we are part of the divine. The ego, right? That analogy, edging God out. The ego is an illusion of separation. And this is part of the game that we are playing. I like to think of this as what some cultures call Leela, the divine game. Well, I like playing games. How do you win? What's the win? Right? If you don't know the rules, how are you going to play the game? The rules of this game are that you become your own ruler. His story is a lie. It's a deception. It's time for you to write and to live your story. And you win the game by letting go of all fear. Take the poisons out, and the ultimate poison is fear. You win the game by letting go of all struggle and trauma and hatred and blame, and take full responsibility. You have the ability to respond now as an adult who is hearing this and experiencing this. You are shifting right now to your higher self. And all we have to do, what we get to do when we shift into this level of awareness, is just listen. Listen to the messages that come. We are experiencing the ascension of human consciousness at scale right now. And you already know that. You're becoming aware of coincidences, cooperative incidences. Things are coming to you that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening. And this is all part of the divine game. We are at the end of Kali Yuga, and we are now entering a new phase. And it goes through all of the systems. Some people talk about the stars are telling us the way. Well, that is probably true because it's all connected. There's nothing that's not connected to the omnipresence and omnipotence of God, right? That word has been so used and misused that I want to just frame it in a way where I don't mean the God of the church. What I'm talking about is much bigger than that. What I'm talking about is the energy, the frequency, the vibration, the wellspring of all creation, even the things that we consider the most heinous and wicked. When we settle into the knowing of who we are, nothing can stop us. And I'll give you some examples in the real world. 3 years ago, I was dead broke after making $20 million in the mortgage industry and living all over the world. I started down a path of scarcity and worry and concern. When I first learned that 9/11 was an inside job, I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it because of cognitive dissonance, normalcy bias, and all of these logical fallacies that have been programmed into our society. Well, I started studying the problem. And a lot of you are doing that now. A lot of people are so caught up in the political race, right? Poly means many, and ticks are blood-sucking creatures. The whole system is a fraud. It's all part of the scam, my friends. BlackRock runs it all. If you don't know about BlackRock, there are a bunch of videos online that show you exactly what BlackRock controls. And through their corporations, State Street and Vanguard, and every big corporation that you're aware of, CNN and Fox and Microsoft and Apple, all of them are, to a large degree, if not in total, controlled by an entity called BlackRock. You know, the name of our entity is Food Forest Abundance. It's this. It's Food Forest Abundance. We can walk outside of our house right now after 2 years of stewardship of this land, and there's food everywhere. We can have a basket of food for the whole family to eat in 10 minutes. Maybe if I'm going to go fishing or harvest some eggs or something, maybe it'll take a little longer. But it's a joyful process. So what's the name of your company? The name of Dr. Wolf's, right? Braveheart Nation. We usually name our company after our intention. BlackRock is not only the name, my friends. It is the intention. By their deeds you shall know them. By their fruits you shall know them. So, what do we do? What do you do next when you become aware? Well, first of all, turn off the screens. Definitely don't watch any mainstream. If what you're watching leaves you anxious or scared or nervous, turn that crap off. Go into the garden or find a garden. If you live in an apartment, a condo, guess what? If you get a little bit resourceful, you can find somebody with land and you can say, hey, I'll make you a deal. I'll help plant your land and steward your garden, and we'll split the yield. There's a lot of ways to do it. I've been living until December 1st. I was living in an HOA, and we weren't supposed to have gardens. Well, I had one anyway. Now is the time to stand up, arm yourself with the truth, and practice civil disobedience. Here at Galt's Landing, we're in St. Cloud, Florida. And by the way, we have Airbnbs. We are 100% off-grid. We produce all of our own energy, harvest all of our own water, and all of our own food needs here on site. And it's beautiful. It's luxurious. This idea of off-grid being scarcity and challenging, we're destroying that narrative and showing the truth of the matter. So we decided that we are not going to be slaves. We decided that we are going to be free. So we did not ask for permission to steward our land, to build our houses. No. We are standing in the faith of governmente, and we are inviting them to do it our way, because our way is and when we design and install food forests and energy systems and water systems mimicking natural systems, we change the world. When we achieve mass adoption of using our resources wisely, we change the world. So we are taking a stand, and we invite you to take a stand with us. We have assembled a council of 12 world changers. And I'm very thankful Dr. Wolf is one of our advisors. And these world changers are specific in regenerative agriculture and soil building and trauma and beehives everywhere, and construction methods that are sustainable. You know, my houses over here, they're made with 3D printed recycled steel. So there's no termites, no fire, no mold. And it's way stronger than stick built. It's better in every way. So, my friends, I invite you to stand with us. We are following Martin Luther King's advice. He said, those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. And we are also following Buckminster Fuller's advice. He said, you cannot change things by fighting the existing reality. You must create a new model that makes the old model obsolete. Well, we really aren't creating a new model. This is the oldest model in the book. The Garden of Eden, everywhere. There are about 900 million acres of farmland in the United States alone. That's just silly. When we put food forests in backyards and in city parks and community centers, virtually all of that 900 million acres will go to nature again. And housing. Housing done in a regenerative way. Housing and homesteading is a better way to say it, where everybody who lives in the city, every family who lives in an unsustainable way, can have a couple acres of land. And not only will they be happier and healthier and live a lot longer, but they will become the stewards of that land, and they will build soil and build life back into the systems. That's what we're here to do. We are here, you and I are here to usher in the golden age. We are here to follow the guidance through presence. People say, Jim, you're very patient because I've been at this for a long time. I said, no, I'm not. I'm present. There's a big difference. Frankly, I'm not very patient. When I start thinking about things, I take a breath and I come back to presence, because it's only in the present that we can get the messages. Where do they come from? Where do good ideas come from? Victor Hugo said there's one thing stronger than all of the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. Enlightenment, the Garden of Eden, using our resources wisely, faith and courage. What I'm talking about, my friends, is the idea whose time has come. Come visit us, galtslanding.farm, GALTS landing.farm in Central Florida. And if you'd like to start growing food, you can check out foodforestabundance.com. That's foodforestabundance.com. And join us and let's win this game. Love and have a great day.